Here's everything you need to know about the official 2020 MLB season.
And what's up, everybody? Baseball is back, Luis.
Yes, yes, yes.
How are you feeling,
Manny,
man?
man, I haven't been this excited
Mm,
since 94, baby.
I can see it. I can see it how excited you are.
Yes. We have
Uh,
it, man. This is
it's back and it's here to
Woo.
stay, man. Not going anywhere.
But is it right? Does it feel right?
Uh,
Is it good? Is it good that the baseball's coming back, or should it have just stayed, you know, on pause until next year?
so
So we
clearly,
figure all
I
this out.
I hope people are picking up on the sarcasm. Yeah, baseball is back for sure, but I just have this feeling that it's not going to be. It won't be too long before it gets shut down again. So yeah, to answer your question, I was at a point in the middle of those negotiations where I thought that the owners and the players should just say, fuck the 2020 season and let's just hash out our differences. We have a year to negotiate, come back in 2021 with a new CBA and ready to play. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, by the way. New CBA and ready to play.
My eye is tearing due to the draft in this room. I'm not
Mm,
upset about anything that we're
sure.
talking
Yeah.
about.
Just a little dust in your eye. I got it.
Um, so let's go through the facts. What do we know about the proposal? 60 games.
60 games.
Manfred, this is Manfred's I guess mandated season.
Yeah, so 60 games. The things that we know is that it's going to be 60 games. The universal DH will be in place for the 2020 season. Um, the let's see. There's the famous rule that everybody's talking about: in extra innings, a runner will start in second base.
Is that
Um,
is that extra innings or 12th inning?
I believe it's extra innings.
Because the original rule was in the 12th inning. We go through our extra innings, regular, 10th inning is regular, 11th inning is regular. When I first heard this rule, it was to start in the 12th inning.
From my understanding, Mr. Gomez,
Yes, Mr.
uh,
Gomez.
it's immediately in extra innings. As soon as the 10th inning starts, runner on second base.
Forgive my language, Manny Go 3, but
I'm listening.
that is some bullshit.
I agree, man. I'm not a fan of
Completely
that rule.
art would you would you of baseball players taking matters into their own hand, and the guy who starts on second steals third and lets himself get picked off. We start extra innings with one out.
No, man.
No,
Nuh-uh.
me
No,
neither.
they're not. But I'm also not in favor of this rule. But at the same time, I understand it's an abbreviated season. If you're gonna do some shit like this, now's the time to try it. And who knows? Maybe it'll make the game more interesting. But in a fantasy baseball standpoint, I'm ready to drop my pitch. I'm ready to drop my relief pitchers right now. Because they can completely tank your season. How many teams? All you need to do in this situation, by the way, bring back the bunt in that case, because
Bunt the guy over to third.
bunt the guy over to third. You have two outs to move that guy over one base. That's it. Um, so I don't know. I don't like the rule, but
I think we're gonna see a lot of the lower. I think we're gonna. First of all, an extra inning game has to happen for this to happen, but for those lower ranked teams like the Orioles, I think we're gonna see a lot of suicide squeezes. One bunt to get them over, one
one
bunt
bunt.
to score. Buck Showalter will be happy. Would be
And you're
proud.
also taking. I'm trying to figure out: is it gonna be like amateur baseball? Like, is it the last batter
If I
moves
had
to
to
second
guess, it
base?
should be the last out of the last inning should start on second.
And so then, how would you score that on a scorecard? I wonder.
It's just a dumb, stupid. It's just such a dumb rule, man.
It's
Like,
such a weird rule. I would have listen. I would have preferred a home run derby in that situation.
yeah, honestly, that's a way better way to end the game. It doesn't have to count. Would you count those home runs as a home run or just?
No, I wouldn't count it.
Yeah, I wouldn't count them either. When I told my dad about this rule, it was like I drove a knife through his back. And my dad is like just a super. He's a really big Yankee fan, but he's obviously like in up to date with like a lot of the more Hispanic players in the league, like the phenoms and stuff. But he's not like the historic baseball fan that you are, Manny,
Yeah.
and it was like I drove a knife through his back when he's like his voice got like he's like, what? Nah, I don't believe it. Maybe in spring training, but not in the regular season. I was like, no, if it's the regular season, not the playoffs, but regular season. And yeah, man,
Yeah, man.
doesn't really make much sense.
It's very abrupt. It's a very abrupt rule change. Like, I'm not ready for that, but we're gonna have to get used to it.
So
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what's the difference between this 60 game proposal versus the last 60 game proposal
So
that the owners had proposed?
before we get to that, just a couple of more things that are going to look different. It's a 60 game season. 40 games are going to be played within the division, and then the remaining 20 will be against the opposing league's geographical counterpart. So the Yankees, for example, will play 40 games in the AL East, and then the remaining 20 games against the NL East. So the Mets, the Phillies, the Nationals, the Marlins, blah blah blah. So that's another thing that's going to look different. Number four, the fourth thing is, according to Craig Calcaterra, the 3-batter rule for pitchers will remain in place for 2020. So so there will be a three batter minimum, unless if a pitcher gets brought in to get the final out of an inning, that pitcher doesn't have to come back in the next inning. Also, as part of the league's health and safety protocol, MLB can relocate teams to neutral sites during the regular season and the postseason. So if there's an insane outbreak in New York and the Yankees are in the postseason, Rob Manfred can mandate that the Yankees not play in Yankee Stadium anymore. They can move him to another location if necessary. So those are the main ways that the game is going to look completely different next year. As far as your question about what's the difference between this and the prior proposal, is that the players shot themselves in the foot. They brought out the when and where brigade, everybody with their when and where, and the owners called their bluff. And now the players lose out on playoff pool money. They lose out on eliminating the qualifying offer, the draft pick compensation. The owners were going to forgive the $33 million advances that they got in March. Essentially, the players are going to make less money, pretty much. Are you crying, man? Yeah. It's okay. Listen.
You see this, right? Look, it's just that eye.
It's okay, man. I understand. It's an emotional time. Wow.
So what happens when you wear contacts?
This is the first, guys, on the Welcome to the Show podcast. It's an emotional time. What are you going to do? Trevor Bauer said it best. We're driving the bus straight off the cliff. Bauer said after Manfred mandated the season, all of these things he brought up. We're giving up all of these things in order to file a grievance. And according to many sources, the players can file a grievance, but they are likely to lose that grievance. So all of this could be for nothing. So it's like, why not just take the money, and then fucking fight it out, duke it out during the CBA?
Yeah.
I don't know. But that's on them.
So something that just came across my mind. When the 94 season ended and there was no World Series, they played about 114 games.
Something like that.
So these additional 60 games plus the postseason, can we just bridge the gap and morph this into one outcome?
Like just
give everybody the same records that they had in 94, let them play the 60 games from there.
What do you do about the Rays and the D-backs, man?
That's a good point, man. See, you shot it down right away.
I mean, I like the idea, but
that's 2 extra teams. Let them
figure it out. Combine records.
Let them duke it out.
Join forces.
I was just thinking outside the box, as I always do.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea. Here's what I think. I think that I don't think this is planned out very well. I think it says that Manfred could relocate teams. So maybe he has the power to create some sort of bubble city and mandate that the season be played that way. But something tells me that this just isn't going to work. I don't understand how teams feel like they could just play within their divisions, traveling, all the moving parts, the people who handle your luggage at the airport,
The
the
hotels you stay at.
yeah, the flight attendants, the hotels you stay at, um, the people that go in and out of the ballparks, the announcers, the writers. I think they're allowing media in the ballparks, but not like I think 50 media personnel or something. Um,
No, but not just that. Like players are not going to just quarantine themselves in a hotel for till October. So you can expect players, if they're in their home city, they're going to get together with relatives, friends. They'll participate in activities. So maybe that's what that whole uh agreement was, like sign this agreement and make sure like you're responsible for your own actions, because you really just can't, like, it's going to be impossible to track all this.
so did you hear about the Novak Djokovic thing that happened last week? I think it was. He's an elite tennis player, and
He held a tournament, yeah.
yeah, and he went clubbing with a group of other players. They all tested positive, and now he can't play. So all right, so let's say, I don't know, some random player. I'm gonna use a Red Sox player because I hate the Red Sox. Say Xander Bogaerts is like, yo, JBJ, Rafi, Ninja Turtle, come on, let's go,
Pool part pool party at my house.
party at my house, blah blah blah.
Speedos only, and they better be red is all I'm saying.
And they all test, and they arrive at the ballpark the next day, and they all test positive for coronavirus. How do you handle that situation? Like
Exactly.
I know that there's going to be a taxi squad, but imagine half of your team gets wiped out in one swoop.
First of all, it's inevitable that half of a team is going to test positive
At some point,
and that's going to happen. There's no vaccine for this shit. And they're not going to lock themselves up in a room from now till October. So it's inevitable that players will test positive and will throw everything out of whack. Not just that, but like, what if the states decide to just like close borders off again and do all this crazy stuff to contain people? Like, I honestly don't see this thing playing out. I think it's gonna be a shit show.
I mean, we already have it. New York City, Andrew Cuomo shutting the city down. If you're from another state, you're gonna have to quarantine before coming into New York. So if the Tampa Bay Rays are gonna play the Yankees in Yankee Stadium, do they have to fucking quarantine for 2 weeks before they play a game? It doesn't make sense. I just don't understand it. The Toronto situation, Canada's borders are currently closed. So the Blue Jays can't get into their stadium. So they're saying they could play in Buffalo. They might have to play in Dunedin in Florida, their spring training facilities. But their spring training facilities were just closed because people tested positive in their spring training facilities. So it's like this is only the beginning, and this is during players just working out right now. It's not like the entire team is showing up and all this stuff is I don't see it. I don't see it working out personally. I hate to be a negative, Nancy here, but
How is the NBA doing it?
they're doing a bubble city in Orlando. So essentially, you come into the bubble city, you're stuck here for 3 months. You cannot leave until, either your team gets eliminated or there's a family emergency. And if you come back into the bubble, I believe you have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
That was like that whole proposal for MLB in the beginning, where Zach Wheeler said, "I want to be there for the birth of my child and
Right.
not the publicity and stuff." Yeah,
That's the other thing. Which players are gonna opt out? Like, is Mike Trout, whose wife is about to have a baby, is he gonna decide I'd rather be there for the birth of my child and not participate in this because I don't want to have to bring this back to my pregnant wife and my unborn child? So will he opt out? Will Jordan Hicks, who I believe is diabetic and takes insulin shots and stuff, will he decide if I catch coronavirus it's going to be much harsher on me than somebody else? I'm not going to do this. You know what I'm saying? There's just too much. I don't know. I don't see it.
How has the bubble city, from your experience, how has the bubble city proposal been received for the NBA? Are
It's
people like against it? Same thing as they was before when baseball proposed it?
it sounds like for the most part people are down with it. There's a group of players who are opting out because they don't feel like it's worth it. Like there's a player, a Lakers player is opting out, and they're considering J.R. Smith to replace him. I can't remember who it is.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why he would opt out because they're actually in a competitive situation. But there's a Portland player who opted out because he said it's not worth the risk for me to go do this if we're not even probably not even going to make the postseason. But for the most part, people are accepting it. And then you have another group of players like Kyrie Irving who feel like it's more important to keep fighting for the cause of Black Lives Matter than it is to play in the NBA. Which, by the way, I'm for the cause, but Kyrie, you have a bigger platform if you play in the actual games. You're not that important. You know what I mean? By you playing, it doesn't mean that the movement ends. But anyway,
Or
that's
they
another
or that
story for
you're
another day.
or that you're conceding to like a systemic oppressed organization, which the
Yeah.
NBA is not. Like I think the NBA deserves as much credit for breaking racial barriers as
And
a
one
lot of
thing has nothing
activists
to
do.
do with
Like
the other. If you're playing in a basketball game, it doesn't have anything to do with Black Lives Matter. You can still be a part of the movement. You know what I mean? There's plenty of people that go to work every single day and then show up at the protests and do what they need to do to,
has there
support
been
support the protests.
has there been an organization that has created more black millionaires than the NBA?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think
NFL,
so. I mean,
NFL maybe. I doubt it. Not like the NBA.
not like the NBA. No, John Wall's getting like $40 million
Oh my God,
for
yeah.
being asked. Like, um, not that he was asked before he signed that contract. He was superstar, but I mean, since then, let let's get back to we were talking about, has there been an organization that's ever created more black billionaire millionaires than the NBA? We're not an NBA podcast. We can talk about that at another time. But for the proposal, is it still 16 teams in the playoffs?
I don't think the expanded playoffs are happening. No,
Oh wow. Okay, so
no.
I have to go back and correct myself.
Uh-oh, what happened?
I've just been telling people, hey, it's like 16 teams now, man. It could anybody's game.
No, I don't think they're doing that anymore because the reason why the owners were willing to propose that is because they were going to give players a cut of the playoff money because players don't get paid for the
Hmm.
postseason. But if the players declining it, they're not going to get a cut of it. They can't expand the postseason because the players are just going to say, "Oh, you're expanding the postseason, but we're not going to get paid for it. We're not playing. We're striking." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They'll play the
originally
yeah.
I thought that this shortened season would like impact like the top teams, but I still think it's going to be more or less the same. I still think we're going to see the Dodgers, the Yankees, especially since they're
Maybe.
playing especially since they're playing the majority of the games within their division, usually, even though that's how it is in a
Yeah.
regular season. But I
I'm
mean,
trying
the
to
Red
I'm trying to
Sox.
think of a tough division. Like the AL East is a pretty tough division. I know that the Orioles are pretty much gonna be in last place probably, but the Rays are decent. The Red Sox are decent, even though they're a weaker team for sure. And the Jays are up and coming. Who knows? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to offend you, man, with the Reds. I'm just saying, like, let's
No,
be
no, no,
honest
hey,
here.
hey, you put words out there in the universe, and karma will catch up. That's all I'm
I'm
saying.
still saying there's three very decent teams in that division. In the Central, you have the White Sox are up and coming. The Twins are decent. The Indians are decent. That's a tough division. The AL West, you have the Astros. By the way, Astros, man, one of the rules is you can't fight or you get suspended for an automatic 20. If you come at the umpire within 6 feet, you get suspended automatically. I think it's 20 games. So why not fucking start throwing at Astros batters? They can't come at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then the Astros are gonna retaliate.
But then there'll be some sort of oh yeah, that's true. Never mind.
Like with their pitchers are gonna start plunking people. But the Astros lucked out because with no fans in the stands, like
Oh
you
my
guys are
god.
going to mentally, you dodged the bullet mentally.
Can I just say
Astros.
Bleacher Report? People use your website, bleacherreport.com. Can you stop posting
Forcing.
pictures on Bleacher Report that you can't see the entire thing? I can't click on it to see the entire thing. It's like formatted for a phone, for a landscape phone.
Yeah,
Or a what do you call this? Not landscape, this one.
portrait.
Portrait. Like come on, man. Because they gave us they have it right there nice and easy for me, but now I'm gonna have to open up the app. what the MLB standings were last year through 60 games. Instead of me doing all the work, I could just go check it out on Bleacher Report really quick on my phone because they don't know how to format shit for computers. Bleacher Report.
And can you stop forcing basketball and football shit down our throats? Like, I don't care about redrafting the 19 whatever season, or I don't care about these top prospects that are usually turn out to be busts because I never hear about them ever again after Bleacher Report curses them and dedicates an entire front page article to these guys.
Truth. Here it is.
Yeah.
Who would have made the postseason in 2019 through 60 games? It would have been the Dodgers in the West, the Phillies in the East, the Cubs in the Central, and the wild card teams would have been Milwaukee and Atlanta. So no Nationals, no Cardinals, who I think faced off in was it the ALCS this year? No, it was Dodgers Nats. So they faced off in the ALDS, NLDS, National League. In the AL, Astros in the West, Twins in the Central, Yankees in the East. I think that stays the same. Tampa Bay as a wild card, that stays the same. And then Texas instead of Oakland as a wild card team. So, I mean, that's 3 teams that are excluded through 60 games last year. And through 60 games, the Nats, I think, were like way below 500 too. So
not just that, but I remember how the Mets and Seattle started? We're like 15-2 last year. I mean, it's just going to be really weird. I feel weird about basing a World Series team off of 60 games. Like,
I think if you make it to the postseason, it's legit. If you're going to make it to the postseason and you go through the same postseason struggle that every team has gone through since the wild card was implemented in 95, you should be crowned the World Series champion. You're legit. But the regular season,
like batting 400 and
yeah. And do you know who holds the record for most home runs in exactly 60 games?
Probably Sammy Sosa.
Tony Clark.
It's all 13. Relative, man.
But that's just
fixed. It's all fixed, man. The fact that this guy.
But that's just through a player who's played exactly 60 games in a season. He has the most home runs. But in the first 60 games of a season, I don't know if it's between Bonds or McGwire. Bonds hit 33 in his first 60 games in 2001, which is fucking crazy, by the way. 33 home runs. And Mark McGwire hit 31 through his first 60 games in 1998. Insanity. Will we see 30 home runs this year?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to go no, too. I don't see how that's going to happen. I'm also wondering, you know how they slowly roll out starting pitchers at the start of the year, the start of the season?
Yeah, like 5 innings.
Yeah, like the start. This season's just going to be so weird because by the time a pitcher's stretched out, it's going to be like
the postseason.
It's almost like they're just training for the postseason here.
The question is, do they stretch out their pitchers? Like, pitchers are what? How many starts is Garrett Cole going to make this year?
10?
60 games.
11, 12, 10, 11, 12, somewhere around there.
I don't know, man. I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
I don't like it either. I'm gonna remove this.
At least now we know that baseball is meant to be played for a length of time. Like
by the way, I think that they should consider shortening the season, and maybe this is something that they could talk about in the CBA. I don't think it needs to be 162, but it definitely should not be 60. This is too few a number of games. It should be somewhere in that 125, 150 range.
But I think that's because we're married to like these numbers in baseball. Like it's like sacred numbers in baseball. So we're like married to that idea. I guess we got to see how the season plays out with 60 games. If it turns out that you could have a 60-game season and everybody's all happy about it, would you be proposed for maybe 2 seasons in a year? Maybe 1 season regular America, next season another 60-game season in the tropics? No. Don't like that idea.
I don't like that.
I'm just striking out left and right today.
Make it a 150 game season and add 2 more teams to the postseason. Make it the NBA. Like allow half of the league to get into the postseason. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that.
I think I'd be okay with that
to get to the World Series.
I think I'd be okay with that.
Something has to change. You know what else the players declined? Apparently, they declined in declining that deal. they were gonna have mic'd up players this year too. They passed that up.
So that was the owner's idea?
I believe the owners were proposing that. Yes.
Wow. And why couldn't this be included?
They declined it. They said no, man. I don't
Did
know
the
why they
owner?
rejected the deal. I really don't understand why they rejected it, because they
Yeah,
knew
because
that they knew that the next thing was going to be Rob Manfred mandating the season. And it was all because of the grievance. They want to be able to file a grievance. But for what? If you're going to lose the fucking grievance, then for what? And apparently the reason why they want to file the grievance, possibly, I believe that then you can go into like discovery and you can reveal a lot of things. Maybe the owners would have to open their books. It's like a negotiation tactic for the future. But I still don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth. I think Tony Clark has sucked as a MLBPA president, man. Let me just be real.
there it is, man.
Let's be
He's a
real
villain.
here.
He's a
He was.
villain, and he has the face of a villain.
He's Thanos.
Yeah.
He's going like this and destroying MLB.
Did you watch that movie?
Sure did. It was okay.
I didn't watch it. I'm
It was
over
okay.
it.
Vince Carter officially retires after 22 NBA seasons. Remember when we used to talk about the NBA like for like 5 minutes?
Yeah, Vince Carter has been milking that career of his for quite some time. He's just been milking it. He's like, I want my farewell tour. And he was probably thinking about it, like, even during this pandemic. He's like, this isn't worth it, man. Like, it's not about me.
Yeah.
But he's been milking that career.
So, any fantasy baseball advice out there? What should our fantasy listeners?
I think the better question is, if you're in a fantasy league, do you want to redraft even though you drafted already? That's a good question. Should you redraft based on the new circumstances, or should you just say, hey, we drafted, fair is fair, everybody was drafting under the same facts and circumstances?
I'm happy with my team.
I'm always happy with my team, and I will die with my team. I will go to war with my team.
You know what I'm really happy about?
Drafted is what I'm upset about. All the prospects.
Is in the league that we play for, it seems like pitching is king, or at least people have come under the assumption that pitching is king, and I've just never fallen into that fallacy, even though I haven't won a championship yet. But it just so happened that there were so many hitters out there for me to pick, and I feel like it's going to work to my advantage because, like I said, it's going to take a while before pitchers are stretched out. By the time they're stretched out, it's almost going to be postseason time. They're not going to make as many starts. So really, my hitters are going to be, look at this. Paul Goldschmidt, Jose Ramirez, Trevor Story, Trey Turner, Ronald Acuna Jr. I mean, how did you guys let me get all these guys?
Isn't Paul Goldschmidt one of the players that take like a month?
He starts slow. You're right.
Yeah, he's like a start slow player. So yeah, you
Thank you.
You hit that. You got jackpot with that one.
Giancarlo Stanton, man, he could hit 30 home runs.
Honestly, man, this fantasy season is gonna be geared towards those one-hit wonder guys. Like, who was this guy? Domingo Santana last year. He went on a tear for like the first 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right.
That's what this Dietrich.
You might have Domingo Santana win the MVP award this year. You could go on a 60-game stretch where you're a beast and you're not really that good of a player. You know what I mean?
Who was it last year? Who got off to like an amazing start? He was like he was the leader in batting average for like the first month.
There was a lot of guys in Seattle. There was like Vogelbach was like, smacking homers left and right.
He made some noise. Yeah.
There was a few guys. Was it Beckham? Beckham, is that his name? Beckham? Beckman? Beckham?
Tim Beckham?
Tim Beckham. I know that Escobar, you dropped him, and then I picked him up.
And he beasted. But I didn't just drop him. Like, I waited like a month.
I saw that name there. I was like, ooh.
Oh, man.
Come to daddy.
You know who was good at the start of last year? Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson made some noise.
He won the batting. He won the batting title last year.
Yeah.
I think it's. Are we thinking about not Gordon Beckham. Who the fuck is Gordon Beckham?
No, Tim Beckham is definitely a baseball player. I won't even Google search that.
Is he not? Is he not active anymore or something?
Am I gonna have to Google search this?
I'm looking at it. He has not signed with any teams. He's not a part of any team right now. Wait,
Beckham last year stats. Let's see here. He
237.
time to get into the splits.
I'm gonna give these game logs over here.
Uh,
Game
let's see.
logs.
April, March. He batted 282. He batted 282, and his month was actually July. He beasted in July.
Wow.
940 OPS with 3 home runs.
311 with the 940 OPS. Crazy.
So yeah, this fantasy season is going to be a complete random. It's going to be random.
Just like this episode has been random so far.
Can't seem to find the topic. We can't seem to stick to the.
Yeah. I mean,
The
I
main
think
topic,
we
just the
covered it.
blue
Baseball's back. The season's gonna start. So spring training is gonna start a week from today, I believe it is, next Thursday. The season starts July 23rd, I think, and it's gonna roll until end of September. Then you have your postseason.
But that's a whole month from now. Like, who knows what can happen?
That's what I'm saying, man. I think this next week is gonna be interesting because as players start reporting, as players start reporting to their spring training facilities or wherever their spring training is gonna be. By the way, the Yankees and the Mets are their spring training is gonna be in the Bronx and in Queens, which makes me wonder: are they gonna play games in spring training, or are they gonna play it like squad like games within their own team? I don't know how it's gonna work, but the Yankees and the Mets are training in the Bronx and Queens. They're not going to be training in Florida because of the outbreak down there. People are going to start getting tested as they arrive at their facilities. So that means there's going to be some positive tests out there. And by the way, I'm not saying that these guys are in danger if they come up positive. They're in peak physical, shape. They're probably going to be fine. Like out of Charlie Blackmon and the 2 other guys that tested positive for the Rockies, they didn't say who, but 2 of them are asymptomatic and the other one's having symptoms, but they're not anything. It's like a light flu or whatever. These guys are probably going to be fine, but the problem is that since they're traveling and they're allowed to go home at the end of the day and all this stuff, like that's where the problem lies. You know what I mean?
And I think that's where that whole health agreement clause has to be agreed upon. That we'll test and do our best to keep everybody safe, but nobody could tell me to stay in my house. Like, just because I play baseball, like nobody can stop them from going out and getting together with friends and relatives. But asymptomatic people can still pass on the virus.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
And the umpires, they're older. You know what I mean? The managers, like.
Umpires are older.
I feel like, I don't know. Something tells me that this isn't gonna. Something tells me that this isn't gonna last very long.
It almost feels like they should have just canceled the season from the beginning.
Yeah. But then, like, do you just not play baseball then until there's a vaccine? Because it could take years for a vaccine.
I think at least take the season off since it just kind of got thrown upon us. Like, I think take the season off and figure that out for next year. I don't know. Just doesn't seem like there's a lot of risk.
Yeah.
When you really start breaking it down, like you said, managers and umpires too.
Crazy. All right. Well, let us know what you think. Do you think there will be a 2020 MLB season this year? Or do you have faith that it's going to actually happen or not? Comment section right below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up too, please. Follow me at Manigo3 on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Luis on Twitter at Hovamojo. Follow the show at WT The Show on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for watching and listening. Peace.
Peace out.